What's up? We are live. What's going on? It's your boy Kevin Yee. Just shooting my weekly stream this week. Pretty interesting stuff this week. I told you guys one of my videos is gonna blow up, and it's starting to blow up at the moment. If you haven't checked it out, it's Don't Do Pharmacy updated. Basically, kind of gives my perspectives on pharmacy in the current state it's in. Because I really do believe, like right now, people should. I'm not saying that, people should go one way or the other. At the end of the day, my goal is really to make sure that people are just informed, that they can create a solid game plan going into something like pharmacy as well. It's almost like jiu-jitsu, right? When you're competing, you never want to go in cold. You have to have a particular strategy. So whether you want to do pharmacy or you don't want to do pharmacy, those are important to, it's important to develop a strategy before going in as well. But I just thought it would be a very nice touch, because typically what I like to do is with this video, sorry, I'm just adjusting one of my settings on my end. But what I typically like to do as well is I wanted to give more factual information and whatnot based off of everything I've seen. And I've actually been in touch with like Paul this week. I've been in touch with my boy Brian this week. There's a lot of people. So anyways, before we begin, I just want to make sure that you smash the like button, boost the algo, and that would be really, really dope as well. So make sure to do that, and feel free to drop a question in, because this is really the time where I answer a lot of personal questions. Also this week, I'm still in the middle of responding back to all my emails. I kind of took this weekend off just to kind of give myself some headroom and stuff. I literally just shot 4 different videos, and just ready to start the week strong. Just finish up some stuff with my mom over here in Boston as well. So that's kind of what's been on my mind. Yeah, so if you guys got any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'll continue telling you about my week and what I'm planning as well. More recently, it was really interesting because I was looking at a lot of different products out there as well, and one of the things I've been really focusing on this week is essentially branding, right? Branding is so important because it kind of tells a really great narration of a story of this. And I've really had a lot of time to think about what is refugee hustle, what is it about? Because when I look at, for example, pictures of like my grandma and stuff, it's all about really leveling up the next generation, helping people rewire success, helping people like yourselves, hustlers, right, who want to be successful through the art of Kaizen or continuous improvement as well. So there's that. Chris Omorigi says, what pharmacy did you work at before you quit? Well, there was a few. I'm not sure if I can actually disclose that as well, because there was a termination contract, or like a settlement contract as well. But I will tell you this, it's one with a bright red banner, and you can probably figure out what it is with that as well. So I'll leave it at that, Chris. So there's that. Pretty much. And also, so I've been really focusing on that, and there were a few different products I was thinking about launching relatively soon. Maybe not all at once, because right now I'm just optimizing kick-ass investing and stuff. Planning to grow that a little bit more, do some more personal finance on that end, and just really help people give a solid foundation financially so that they can invest and do other things. And what was really interesting this week, I also met up with, spoke to a few viewers from that video, because some people were, I did a few one-on-one calls just because some people were feeling kind of uneasy about doing something like pharmacy going forward, and they were asking me things like, hey, YouTube advice, right? How do I start up my YouTube channel? Oh, what do I do now that pharmacy isn't a viable option for me? And I came up with a few different ideas. One of the things that might be doing, and these are all hypothetical at the moment, right? One of the things I am trying to do is maybe I'll do give out some tools or sell some tools on this channel about high ticket sales, maybe things about YouTube, and figure out your vision and direction, right? And then obviously investing as well. So those are kind of like the things on the table as well. Planning to make some low ticket offers, but then also doing some high ticket on the back end. Because I believe at the end of the day, if you want to do it yourself, it should be relatively affordable. but it does cost, I mean, it does cost money to kind of host these services as well. So that's the thing I got to figure out. I got to figure out what exactly is a fair price while keeping a premium experience and making sure that people are getting results, right? I'm not going to launch these all tomorrow, dude. Like, I'm going to make sure that these are vetted. I'm going to have beta students and stuff like I'm doing for Kick-Ass Investing right now, and making sure it's one of the best programs out there, something that you haven't seen before as well. To really taking my knowledge from high ticket program design and applying it to this channel. But anyways, we're getting some comments. Let's drop in the comment section for a bit, and make sure if you're asking a question, make sure to smash that like button as well. Tala says, hi Kevin, thank you for all your videos. Quick question, should we purchase pharmacy license insurance for new practitioners? That is a great question, Tala. One of the things one of the things that my previous law teacher or professor back in pharmacy school was always purchase some type of insurance, because all it takes is, like, typically with most pharmacies, they'll have some sort of malpractice insurance, right? But something important that you should know is that if you break policies and procedures for any reason, even if they're like putting you under high stress situations, you need to make sure that you cover yourself. And really, just $97, or my first initial year was like $97. It obviously goes up, but it's worth it. I would say just give yourself the peace of mind of malpractice, because malpractice can happen to anyone. All right. Especially with these worsening conditions in pharmacy, you just want to have that peace of mind. It's already a hard gig in itself, and you don't want to worry about the burden of getting sued for malpractice or anything like that. It's a very important thing, and I think I don't think anybody's really talked about it on YouTube, but I mean, I did it. And guess what? Insurance is for I mean, there's this saying where insurance is always for poor people, right? But especially with these malpractice cases, it can really be quite expensive, and it's already hard enough. So don't give yourself, just protect yourself. Not a big deal, not a huge expense, and just go from there. Tin Yang says, I'm starting P2 pharmacy in New York State. What can I expect? It's much harder than P1. I don't know which program you are. Every single program is very, very different, Tin Yang. And Tin Yang, probably really great idea. Don't ask me. You want to ask the right people. So ask people at your university, man. Ask P2, or sorry, previous P2s, how was P2 year, right? And sure, you can ask the people who are about to graduate, but I would say the most accurate data is just ask people who are just one step ahead of you, because they just finished their P2. They'll give you a very accurate representation of what to look out for. It's kind of get the inner scoop each year, and you should do that whether you're looking for a job, whether you're looking for to see what's next in your P2, P3 year as well. Yeah, and that's the route I would go, Tin Yang. Emily says, having experience negotiating a higher pay, any tips? Well, it depends. I mean, if you're in California, sometimes pharmacies will have a certain union, so you won't be in a position to negotiate, right? But if you are negotiating as well, and it's going to be a lot harder these days, because this is one of the results of pharmacy saturation and stuff, where you have to know not only kind of like the benchmark of what you're going into. You could look up like Glassdoor and stuff like that, just to get a broad range, lower end, higher end as well. If you can talk to someone who if you can also kind of get the inner scoop of people in your district or area about how much they're getting paid, it'll give you a solid reference point. A lot of time people get screwed because they don't know what they're going into this negotiation thing. And plus, you need to know your exact USP. Because people aren't just going to pay you because you ask you. Sometimes they will, but in general, they're going to be like, put yourself in the shoes of a someone who's hiring you. You might be asking yourself like why should I pay this person a higher rate? What's the unique selling proposition that I can provide? So having awareness of your skills and all that is something very important. And finally, Emily, there's a really great book called Never Split the Difference, one of my favorite books, and really understanding what their needs are, right? First, listening to what their needs are for that place that is hiring you, and then catering everything toward that, right? and then having them give their number out first. That's the number one thing, right? Um, as well. So maybe I can do a whole video uh, talking about negotiations as well. I believe Paul Tran actually has a really great video, but probably wouldn't do you justice on just this live stream. So I'll think about it as well. I'll talk to a few of my friends who are experts at negotiation, but that's something important, right? Like having a baseline and just knowing in what you're going in for as well. So there's one. Armor Ghost chimes in. He says, Emily, research is number one. Leverage is number two, says Armor Ghost. So those are the things that I mentioned as well, making sure that you know your USP. How can you help them specifically? Because like I said, they're not going to just hand you over money because you asked for it, right? Let's see. Let's refresh as well. I don't even know. I'm not even looking at my comments. By the way, if you guys like this content, make sure to smash the like button. Increase this. Increase the algorithm rankings on this mother freaking video. Would really appreciate it, y'all. Zigmus says, if you could change one thing in the world in one way by afternoon tomorrow, how would you change it? Very broad question, man. I don't know. Like, are you saying what I would change in the world? Honestly, I'm not quite sure. I mean, because that's a question that I don't necessarily have control over. It's a really broad question. It's a really focused question. I would say if there was one thing that I could change about people that I feel like is kind of like the key cornerstone of that will help you get 99% of the things that you want in life and get better answers and get better advice and all that, is learning to ask better questions. If you look online, there's people ask really shitty questions. Like, for example, more recently there was someone who asked me like, hey, I'm practicing in Egypt, like how is pharmacy? And I was like, dude, I don't know. Like, I'm not in Egypt. I'm American pharmacist. Am I really, is this the person that you should be asking, right? And then he was like, oh, no worries, I'm going to Germany. I'm like, again, I'm not freaking German. I'm American, dude. Like, I've worked in American pharmacy. So I think it's important to ask really profound questions that you don't feel like you're wasting people's time. And I see them all the time. I see a lot of like crappy questions, and it's like, can I really blame these people? Because no one really taught them how to be empathetic or really put yourself in the shoes of another person before opening your mouth and asking a question. But that's how you get better questions, better advice. And that's one, it takes a certain level, not of intelligence. I don't want to come off like that, but it takes, I mean, it really comes off. And that's the difference between getting an answer and not only getting an answer, but also getting a really great answer and building a relationship with someone. Because when you ask shitty questions, it has a very poor outlook on yourself, as well. So it's just like putting a little bit of thought of extra questions. For those 9 people who haven't already, or 8 people who haven't already, make sure to smash that like button as well. Armago says, eliminating internet trolls. So funny. Are Californians still enduring state silly policies, or are they reaching a breaking point? I don't really know because I'm not in California at the moment, but I know like it's pretty crazy in California as well. Like, it's such a big state, and there's a lot of like, okay, so the biggest differences that I noticed between Massachusetts and somewhere like California is that places in Massachusetts, like, people are pretty much following everything to a T. They believe in the leadership here. Whereas in California, there's a lot of freaking problems, and a lot of it is lack of trust of the leadership over there as well. A lot of people don't like Newsom because he's wishy-washy, and he kind of it's kind of like, the one thing I think there's a disconnect between the common people being able to work and try and give sort of direction for Californians over there as well. So that's my take. I'm not super political on this sort of stuff, but that's my take as well. Jose asks, should people be aware of certain pharmacy schools like MCPHS Worcester? I've heard it's much harder than other pharmacy schools. Well, MCPHS Worcester too is also more difficult, Jose, by default, because it's an accelerated program. So It is much harder. But just to let you guys know, I mean, pharmacy is a really rough gig at the moment. That's why I shot that video. I want people to know up front, put the expectations up front so that they know what they're getting themselves into as well. So it's a really important thing. Ben Curtis asks, should I go to optometry school or medical school? Ben, you probably shouldn't ask me, honestly, because there's too many factors. One, I don't know what you really want at the end of the day, what you're looking for. Second thing, I'm not neither optometrist or medical student, so you should probably ask someone in those fields. By the way, Ben Curtis. Okay, but I am planning to get a optometrist on this channel too, so we're going to be doing it, breaking down an interview pretty soon. Just one of my optometrist friends is actually in Texas, so I might hit up Texas on the way back from California as well. Rohan says, hey, if you have to wake up and leave Cali and had to move to a state that wasn't your home state, is this a question? Rohan, sorry, my man. Like, I think your question is like, what state would I move to? Well, assuming that Massachusetts is technically my home state, like I've lived here all my life and stuff. If I had to move to a state that wasn't California, I'd probably move to somewhere like Texas. I really like Texas a lot. It really has a chill vibe. Cheap, like pretty good standard of living for what you get. And like I have a lot of friends down there, so I probably moved to Texas if anything at the current moment. I know there's other big cities like New York and stuff, but honestly, I don't want to live in New York. I've I don't know. New York is all right, but everybody has it's like busy and stuff, and there's no way escape as well. So, and plus, have you seen all those freaking movies, man? All the bad shit happens in New York, guys. Don't get me wrong, I love New York. I have a lot of great friends in New York and stuff, but shit, when all the bad shit happens, it always happens in New York, y'all. So there's that. Armago says, certainly not a state that defunds their police and eggs on rioters as well. Yeah, I mean, the defunding the police thing is quite, I don't think that's definitely not, in my opinion, that's definitely not the solution. And obviously I'm not subject matter expertise on this, but really, like, when I listen to people like Jocko and other people as well, they mentioned that it really comes down to retraining the police as well, and holding people accountable as well. Like, right now there's just a lot of, the system does not allow for what do they call, whistleblowers and stuff like that. There's serious repercussions, and I think everything that's happening right now is really great because it's bringing a lot more accountability on these cops. But clearly, like, even during those protests, or if you want to call them riots and stuff, clearly there was a lot of unconstitutional shit happening, and that's not cool, in my opinion, right? Because those are our core fundamental principles of this country. And if we're not allowed to peacefully protest, if we're shooting our fucking press and shit too, that's not cool, or if we're breaking, like, if we're breaking in search and seizure and all this shit, people need to know their rights too. And I think that's a huge part, is like, we need to know, as American citizens, we all need to know our rights. Like that, if go back to your question earlier, whoever asked that, I think it was Zigamus. Yeah, I wish everybody knew their rights in the US, man, because it would leave us in a lot better place. A more educated public is a better public because we can stand up toward fucked up things as well. And by the way, 5 people who haven't already, make sure smash that like button. Unless you're driving. If you're driving, don't pull over. Don't, like, dude, keep your eyes on the road. Don't want you to crash, y'all. Let's see. With the high saturation in pharmacy and increasing competition, get a residency, what do you recommend for new pharmacists trying to get out of retail? Well, there's a few things, Talia. So based off my conversations with other people, there's a lot of opportunities for, like, if you've had a few years in retail, you might, or, well, you're asking new pharmacists. So I'll tell you some things that I've seen happen for some of my friends who are new pharmacists, right? They worked like a year or two in retail. And not saying that you absolutely need that experience. Some people get some people get extremely lucky and they can either land a contract job into like approving PAs for insurance companies and stuff. That's one really popular route for easy barrier of entry into out of typical retail. And then one of my friends who I spoke to, she's actually a regular. I don't know if I want to put her name out there, but basically she does long-term care as well. So I thought that was very interesting because she's done retail for a little bit and she transitioned over. So those are two possible solutions for the most part. Now, I've seen other people do like home infusion. Some people go into specialty pharmacy too. Those are really viable routes as well. I think those might be particularly really great areas to go into as well. So maybe I'll do a separate video on that. That's a really good point, Talia. Ben Curtis says, or sorry, Armor Ghost comments on Ben Curtis's comment. Doesn't really matter. Really depend on what you're good at. How do you plan to finance school, etc. Armored Ghost says Tejas. Kevo might like Plano. Yeah, actually, I think I really like Dallas, minus the really bad pollen during the springtime. I was there for a wedding. I was dying, but I really like Dallas. My good friend Tom, he lives in Dallas as well, so it's a really great area. I have a lot of great friends down there too. And when I visited, it was like the traffic wasn't horrible. There's a lot of great Asian places. It almost feels like a mini California, and I really like that, you know. So and plus being in I mean, I know like people are complaining about the coronavirus and stuff, but I would say like, I mean, besides that, I think Texas is a really great place. I don't think it's as crazy as people think it is as well. So Texas, probably a place that I would want to go to, honestly, right? Bob says, Talia, sometimes it just sucks to suck. There are more and more job postings in non-traditional fields that specifically say retail experience won't be considered. So I just drive Uber. I think you could probably do better than Uber, Bob, as well. But yeah, contract jobs are pretty still relevant to this moment, because one of my friends, that same friend that I was telling you that does long-term care and also long-term care and PA approvals, she did it in August, so about 1 year ago. She had that. Now, is the market still the same? I don't know. You might need to get lucky, but you know, looking for a contract job is probably the best route to go at this point. I mean, contract jobs are really great, by the way. Well, not really great, but I mean, like, you can write off things and whatnot as a 1099 as well. So it's just important to consider. I have seen some cases where people will actually, if you do really well, where they'll hire you on as a full-time, I was going to say full-time student, full-time staff member as well, and you can get a gig that way. So, and plus I believe in terms of staffing agencies too, it'll give you, like, depending on what the situation is like, it'll give you a pretty broad, like pretty good experience of, well, allows you to build experience, but also gives you a very broad exposure to multiple careers in pharmacy that you would have never considered without overcommitting as well. So there's that. Bob says you can do an anti-pharmacy weekly podcast with Paul Tran. I don't think it's requires a weekly type of thing, man. I saw your comment the other day about that, and it's just like, I'm not anti. Like, here's the thing: I'm not anti-pharmacy. I'm just like, I'm all for throwing out the facts out there so people are just aware, so they can make the best decisions for themselves. I mean, at the end of the day, Bob, who am I or Paul Tran or yourself to tell people what they want, what they need, right? Some people really like it. And if you really want to go down pharmacy route, boy, you better be a kick-ass pharmacist, because it does. I had a talk with one of my other friends who is a pharmacist down in the Atlanta, Georgia area, and he was saying you just have to be a better pharmacist, which I totally agree, to enter this market as well. So something important to consider too. Armor Ghost says, kind of hard to believe it's mid-August already. Interesting year. Election coming up, year end, not too far away, then into 2021 we go. Yeah, it's been a very interesting year, and this year has been actually really rough on me. in particular. Like obviously, I'm back in Boston, helping out my mom. Um, Quarantine was not easy. Dropping my jiu-jitsu and yoga journey was not easy. Taking a huge pay cut at times was not easy. But also during the time as well. Also during like quarantine and stuff, I picked up a lot of new skills. I've been able to kind of build out websites, been learning more about branding, been learning how to use tools like Airtable and Notion, and building out all these things and really testing Kick-Ass Investing 2.0. I'm really happy with everything the way it's going. I feel like I was reading this book. Never mind. I'll plug it in some other day. But basically, I'm gonna do a Hustler's Library about Scott Ulsfer's Nuclear Effect. It's a really great book, and I'll probably drop why I think it's a great book. But it just had me realize, like, I've been essentially these last 2 years, I've just been building up the necessary skills to launch my own high ticket program or launch my own products as well, and have that confidence, right? It's kind of like OJT, on the job training, where you have to build up skills of branding, you have to build up skills of marketing, you have to build up skills of sales, and being able to talk on a very high level, intelligently about these things allows me to hire the right people and execute as well. So I'm really trying to hone in on my vision this year. It all started with Dan Pena. I started the year, believe it or not, doing Dan Pena's, and now I'm just like doing my own thing. And I love the Dan Pena experience, but definitely M&A was not for me at this point in time. So it's a very hard gig to do, and I'm glad that I was very decisive about when I want to cut everything off as well, in terms of QLA. Not to say I won't do QLA in the future, but at the end of the day, no one can fucking tell you what you want to do or not. And I've been able to build up this grit and more confidence as well. And even going to things like therapy this year has been game changers too. So there's a lot of that. Okay, cool. So Bob says many companies who take contract jobs like PA no longer take new grads. So if you are a new grad, you're doomed. I wouldn't say as far as that, but you might be right, Bob. Like it might be very, very difficult. At the end of the day, I'm not their target market, by the way, in terms of like PAs and stuff. But if anybody is a new grad, by the way, if anybody is a new grad and they've got a contract job or got an opportunity more recently, comment below in the comments, because it really does help other people kind of make their decisions and stuff. Share your experience. Would really appreciate it. And make sure, as always, to smash the like button so the algo can boost this. I mean, again, it all comes down to helping other people by sharing our experiences here, guys. We're all refugee hustlers in some sort of way. We're all looking for our own success on our refugee hustle journey. And we all do it by continuously upping ourselves, improvement, this concept of Kaizen, the art and science of it, as well. So that's kind of like my spiel right there. All right. Armor Ghost says, you mean it's over? Talia says, Emily says, Tala, LTC, long-term care, can use your retail experience and start building clinical experience. Infusion farm jobs or PRN hospital jobs are still an option for experienced retail pharmacists in rural areas I've been. Yes, that is actually right, because I've seen it happen to a lot of my friends as well, my personal friends, and then they've been able to transition. But, one of the things I'm always considering too is like things are always changing. Just because I've seen it happen within the last 1 or 2 or 3 years ago, is that really applicable now in this day as well? So that's really great. I'll probably do a little bit more research and reach out to specific people about their experience there as well. I want to do an in-depth video to really go viral again. By the way, my don't do pharmacy video is probably going to go viral. It's already at 1K views. It's probably only going to climb. I'm hoping that it catches traction in Reddit or Student Doctor Network. So if any of you guys want to post it and commentate on it, because I'm not gonna, I think those forums you can't self-promote, so I don't want to go and do that. But if it does catch, I think it brings up a good point as well, and it's just gonna help more and more people. At the end of the day, I'm just trying to create content that helps more people kind of get what the fuck they want in life. Like I literally was talking to a viewer who reached out to me. She shot me a 9-minute YouTube video. Sweetest girl ever, but she was telling me her situation, what she wanted, and she comes from a low income family. She just wants a stable career, right? Like she never had a car, she never had a home or a stable place, right? And she just wants the American dream. Like her family worked so hard to get here, and now she wants to level up. And how can you hate on that? And she's like, all I never knew was pharmacy. I'm like, let's take a step back. I mean, is pharmacy still the right vehicle for you? Is it all these things? Why do you want to do pharmacy, right? And it turns out that she just wants stability in her life. And we came up, she told me about the other things that she was considering. She was looking at coding, and she wanted to do coding. And like, we pretty much laid out a game plan where she can do coding. If it doesn't work, she can get her ROI back. And then really at that point, she can go back to pharmacy school. She's making 8,000 or something per month as well, right? I think that'd be really great. You know, her recent friend got an opportunity for 80K per year, right? And another friend got like another one for 100K plus per year in coding. So just because like there's a lot of different opportunities, that's why there's no one career that I can tell people to go down, especially in terms of looking for an alternative outside of pharmacy as well. There's so many things to consider. And I might do a service where I can do some sort of roadmap or consulting type of things for this, because I'm so plugged in different areas and I know the right people to ask in terms of all these things as well. Bob also says, plus contract PAs is seasonal. You're right, actually, about that, Bob. I forgot about that. A lot of my friends actually told me about that as well. Contract PAs are seasonal, usually first quarter a year. You get laid off. Also, retail is now hiring seasonal contract immunization pharmacists for October and November as well. Yep. So things are really changing, guys. Honestly, contracts. I like contracted work. It's a lot harder but you can write off things. Your money goes a lot further as well. But I mean, if that's the case, that's the case, man. And it just shows you the level of saturation as well. Worry Warrior is asking, how is 10 Planet Jiu-Jitsu different from regular Jiu-Jitsu? I would say it's just a system, right? So I would say 10 Planet, in my opinion, I love 10 Planet because of how open-minded it is. Like with regular BJJ, if you learn from and trust me, I've never been to a Gracie school. And if you want to check out my friend Patrick Donabedian, he's actually a really great resource to learn 10 Planet Jiu-Jitsu. He's a really good friend. He's also my coach. But I would say like really regular Jiu-Jitsu kind of focuses on the fundamentals and stuff. 10th Planet, you focus on, it's really great because they throw kind of like a menu at stuff and there's different games you can play. It's not all rubber guard, by the way, right? But there's different systems. And plus we incorporate things like leg locks and stuff like that as well, right? And kind of like catch wrestling type of techniques as well. We're not just focused on jiu-jitsu. We take things from everything as well. I remember when saddle was really big, like 411 position, that was really big. We call it honey hole in the 10 planet system. But things like that, I think that it's the mindset of 10 Planet, which I love. And Eddie Bravo is like freaking crazy on Joe Rogan, but he's honestly a genius when it comes to jiu-jitsu as well. So I think that's something really important as well. But I'm planning to practice jiu-jitsu as well. And what's interesting, sometimes when I go to a non-10 Planet school, I catch them in all these weird things that they never thought of, right? And that's the beauty of 10 Planet as well. So there's that. Bob says, yeah, it's over. I don't know why people are still trying to look for the ray of sunshine in this profession. Is not going to happen for 99% of pharmacists. The three types of workers in a company: tigers that get taken care of, elephants who do the work, donkeys who are expendable. Guess which type of worker pharmacists are too corporate? Hey, kind of curious, Bob. I'm kind of curious about your experience too, man. Seems like, I mean, from your comments, it seems like you're pretty experienced. Like, I would love to kind of hear your experience just to get a baseline as well on my end. All right, cool. Why do you think state board of pharmacies are allowing so many pharmacy schools to open up? Shouldn't APHA and various pharmacist unions be all over this? So oversaturation is killing us. Well, think about it like this, right? I wouldn't be surprised if there was some kickback to board of pharmacy as well. I mean, I'm not. It's not their job to, and it's not the Bureau of, sorry, the Board of Pharmacy to really protect our profession. It's really up to their first goal is to protect the public, right? It's on every single board of pharmacy. Well, I believe, like, I haven't, trust me, I have not checked all 50 states plus the territories and stuff, their board of pharmacy websites, but in general, from what I was taught, was board of pharmacy, they're out there to protect the public. Okay, so that's the number one thing, right? The second thing is, I wouldn't be surprised if they were supposed to protect our career. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some sort of kickback, right, from the schools. And then places like APHA and pharmacy unions, again, they were supposed to be advocates for us, right, for us pharmacists. But at the end of the day, how much impact do they really have on majority of pharmacists? Not too much. I mean, they were really shooting for provider status to really kind of open the floodgates for us. But now that we have provider status in a lot of these states, I mean, how much longer will it take for us to see these opportunities and stuff, and what sort of opportunities that we have? Now, the concept of things like APHA and all these things is great, but in actual practicality, do they really add some sort of benefit to us pharmacists as well? So really, there's no financial incentive for anyone to really promote, to save our profession through these schools and stuff at the end of the day, right? That's my logic. I don't know, and that's why I shoot my content, because no one else is freaking doing it other than Paul, right? And I think it's important for other people to know this career, like what this career is turning into as well. Because the only thing that will stop oversaturation is students going into pharmacy for the wrong reasons. Pharmacy students who just want a stable paycheck, which is not even really there. Because I've even talked to my technician today in the state of California. They started dropping it to 50 or 40 per hour. I don't know what the new contracted rate. I'll look at my old union and stuff, but I can probably find that out. And it's pretty rough these days, right? I mean, Walgreens was just a start. We're going to start seeing with every single chain, most likely. It's kind of set precedent toward that, and it's just like, until we have extreme blowback for these companies, we're not going to see anything that's going to really change as well, right? So that's why I shot my video about what to do if as well, and I might create a series of how to transition out of retail pharmacy altogether, right? So there's that. Bob says, if your don't do pharmacy videos getting traction, then you need to keep on making more. Like I said many times, you built a brand as a pharmacy YouTuber, so play that strength. Great idea, I guess. But honestly, it took that video, by the way, FYI, that took over at least 10 plus fulfillment hours on me and my team to really create. It took me probably like 2 or 3 hours to plan out my content. It took about and to research what articles I want to highlight. It took about my editor about 4 or 5 hours to it took me another 2 hours to shoot it. I shot that video twice, by the way, because the first time I just didn't like the way it turned out. And then it took about 5 hours for my editor to finally edit the final cut. It was actually originally a 50 to 1 hour video, by the way, FYI. So it's a great video, but honestly, there's only so many times I really want to talk about don't do pharmacy before it gets old, right? I'm not trying to build a brand of overall negativity of doing all this sort of stuff. I think I've already said my points. I think that is something that you don't need to beat a dead horse, right? Paul's had a few videos. I've had a few videos. If there are follow-up questions and stuff, more than happy to do it, but we just got to see the traction of this video as well, right? So I just don't want to post a freaking video about don't do pharmacy week 3, don't do pharmacy week 4. Like, really, what else do I really need to say that hasn't been said at the moment, right? Bob says, just look at the live streams. Look how many questions are pharmacy versus non-pharmacy. It's pretty clear who your audience is. It's pretty, and speaking about audience, is actually really interesting about my audience too, because I get a lot of different people messaging me on my back end. So I'm probably going to, if you guys haven't already, if you can guys do me a huge favor, make sure to go to refugeehustle.com/join, opt in for my email list. I'm about to shoot a mass email out, sending out a survey about different content that you want me to kind of talk about as well. So I think that would be really great. So if you guys really like my content, it would really help me kind of make better content for you guys. So go to refugeehustle.com/join. And you can do it. Open in another tab so this this video doesn't get killed. But yeah, it's also in the description below. You can check that out. So I'll be sending out an email relatively soon about that. Bob says the purpose of BOP is to protect the consumer, not the pharmacist, like I mentioned earlier. So they have no incentive to limit the number of pharmacy schools. Plus, they need money to licensing to survive. Okay. Would you recommend to roll up the self-serve and telehealth pharmacy industries? You're talking about QLA. So in terms of telehealth is really big at the moment. You could roll that up, but the working capital required is going to be quite extensive for that. Usually what low barrier of entry, like high profit margins and stuff like that, would probably be like Dan Pena always says bedpans, so home health and stuff like that. Those are really, and there's different levels of home health as well. I'm not an expert at home health, but that's like the primary thing that Dan always talks about. Yes, telehealth is really great, but it requires quite a bit of working capital as well. So there. Lemon Doug, hey Lemon Doug, good lucks about the Hyros thing as well. I actually applied to that Hyros position earlier this week as well because I'm looking for another client more recently as well. So there's that. Emily says, I just finished residency with 10 others. We had a hard time finding jobs even after searching for months. Most of us have some income from pharmacy, but it's even rough for PGY 1s and 2s. Kind of curious, Emily, if you're open to sharing, let me know your experience. Like, what kind of PGY 1 and PGY 2 or residency did you complete? And what kind of jobs were you expecting to get after your residency? That's a great question. I'd love to kind of hear that. What is the salary starting for a pharmacist? I mean, in terms of Bureau of Labor statistics, they're saying anywhere from 100. It's like the average is about 126 or 132 or something. I can't remember. But honestly, with the more recent numbers, because that was published maybe about a year or two ago, it's not always the most updated information. But I mean, let's picture it like this. Where's my freaking calculator, right? And let's say if pharmacy salaries were dropped to 50 hours per week, 50 hours, not per week, $50 per hour. Let's times that by 32. There's 52 weeks in a year. Please correct me if I'm wrong. That's about $83,000. All right, off a 32-hour salary. Now, if you had a traditional 40-hour times 52, that's 104,000. Now we should be really concerned with this because what's going to happen is Walgreens already set the precedent where they're going to try to find reasons to terminate more seasoned pharmacists to kind of decrease their costs. Think about it for a second. If I have about, 50 OG or let's say I'm running a division of pharmacists, right? I'm trying to cut costs because employee costs are the highest ever, right? Basically what did I say? 83,000, right? So basically if I can save costs so 104 minus, here, let me clear this for a second. 104 minus 83, 21K per pop, right? If I'm managing 30 pharmacists, right? 21,000. Shit, my 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu place is messaging me. That's about over 600,000 of savings per year. You think as a pharmacy, is that significant for roughly the same amount of work? Yes, there will be kind of a transition pain period, but even let's say the factor in the training and stuff, I mean, you're still going to be adding to your bottom line, reducing the most expensive part to your pharmacy. And those, if assuming that you can retain those pharmacists as well, then costs actually decrease over time. Do you think a major chain would probably do that? Most likely, right? So that's something very important as well. Justin Isa says, what companies are you looking at? Not quite sure what you're referring to, Justin. Sorry. Never mind, you just answered it, lol. Walgreens starts at 52, CVS is 65, or sorry, 55. Justin, kind of curious, those numbers that you mentioned, what are the, which area are you from, Justin Isa? I think that's something that's important to consider as well. Bob says 70K and dropping, 70, Jose says 70K and there's not much pay increase in retail. I mean, here's the thing, like there's not going to be pay increases or increases in pay for the most part. If you are, there's not going to be increases in pay, like if they're, there's not going to be increases in pay if there's a lot of saturation in the market, because you can just get someone who's cheaper, probably for the same quality, roughly the same quality. That's really negligible. It's hard to say, right? And that's why understanding your USP is so important as well, right? And Jolie says, I'm in high school, incoming freshman in high school. What should I do to get involved with ready for a pharmaceutical career? Figure out what sort of end result that you want. I mean, if you want to get involved with pharmaceuticals, you don't have to become a pharmacist or anything like that. Identify a particular career that you want to go down. Start looking at LinkedIn, look at some of the biggest companies around your area, right? Pharmaceutical companies, and see what kind of roles do they have from that point of view. There's always like a careers tab that you can go on to for most of these pharmaceutical websites and stuff, and you can just see what kind of careers they're hiring for. Start writing those down. You have plenty of time, and Julie as well. So, and start talking to people in the industry. I was literally on a hike with my cousin, and he was like, "Man, I want to do this. I think that'd be really great." It wasn't healthcare related. I think it was like, oh man, I'm such a bad cousin. I can't remember what field. It was not, engineering, right? And I was like, start talking to people now, start building those relationships, because relationships take time to build, but those are the most highly leverageable things that you can do, where in the future, if you maintain relationships, not only can they refer you to other people, but also at the end of the day, they can give you the homie hookup into a company of your dreams and stuff as well. So there's that. Lemon Doug says, I really enjoyed how to become a high ticket closer without a course video. I love to see you on walking through finding clients and how to stand out against other closers. Really at the end of the day, Lemon Doug, I could kind of do that. If I get into high roast and stuff, I'm going to show my exact process as well. But really, it's just being able to demonstrate numbers, have experience, being able to confidently tell them exactly what you do and all that as well. So I think that's an important thing as well, right? Really, it's trying to do your upfront research, setting up the expectations, and really letting them know how they're gonna benefit by having someone like you. What makes you really different? It's a hard question to answer, but once you nail it down, like it comes very naturally. For me, I'm a very professional type of person. Believe it or not, even as many fucks or shits I say on this live stream, I'm a very professional person. I do my work very well. I'm very professional. So you wouldn't believe there's a lot of closers who can't even manage a freaking HubSpot, right? It's like crazy. And also I'm very autonomous for myself as well. I'm a process type of guy more recently, and I'm always making my process better, my sales process better and better and better, and implementing systems. So those are kind of my USPs. So it's not like, and I think one of the things I've been able to leverage is actually my experiences. Even these last 2 years, I've been able to drive quite a bit of results. So people are really impressed by it, and I have a ton of relationships where people can back me up as well. Rohan says, I'm starting to flip domains. I just made $100 as a teen. Great job, Rohan. That's pretty dope. All right. So flipping domains is my side hustle. That's great. So pretty much what I'm guessing, Rohan, is that you're securing these domains and then selling them to people, to buyers as well. That's really great. It's also a really great strategy if you want to really build up really great relationships with famous people. One of my friends, he bought all the major domains for the major UFC fighters, and he's been using that not to sell back to them, but to build relationships. He built a kick-ass website for them, and they forever remember him. So if you want to it's one thing to flip domains for $100, but it's another thing to be able to add value to these top level people as well. It just shows how giving you are, and opens up a limitless amount of opportunities. Don't forget, when you win over one relationship, you win over a cascade of multiple other relationships in life as well. That's why, in my opinion, relationships are essentially the force multiplier. If you can master relationships, you can master anything. Robin says, you're right about the Bureau of Pharmacy. And by the way, for those 2 people who haven't, make sure smash that like button, improve the algo for this episode as well. I think this episode is pretty fire, by the way, FYI. You're right about the BOPs. Just lump them without thinking, but our unions and various associations should be tackling this issue. Maybe there isn't a real answer. Again, those organizations like APHA and unions. I mean, think about APHA. They benefit from more memberships. So they don't really care if by limiting the pharmacists that go into the field, they're limiting. That's their self-interest right there, right? So it's not it's de-incentivizing them as well. For something like unions as well, think about it. Union dues, they get paid no matter what. They don't care, right? And so both these organizations, they have no incentive to fight for us, right? The only people that will fight for you are ourselves. At the end of the day, you can't rely on other people because they're not incentivized by that, right? And that's why it's important to know how these places are getting incentivized. Because, for example, my friend Brian, there's this one pharmacist, PharmD PhD. He was saying how he disagrees with the Bureau of Labor statistics about the outcome of pharmacy, and saying that there's going to be more increased demand of medications, and that's why there will be more pharmacists. I don't necessarily believe so, and I don't think his hypothesis really matches up, because a lot of new grads here, especially you guys that are talking, and this is anecdotal, I get it, but a lot of new grads are having trouble finding jobs in their career, for their career, right? And plus, this guy is funded by USC, right? Oh, not USC. US University, the San Diego one, right? UCSD. Yeah, so it's just really interesting to see that as well, right? So it's kind of interesting as well, right? And plus, just because there's an increased demand of medications or usage of medications as well, doesn't mean that pharmacists will fit that role. It could be automation, it could be technology. There's a lot of gaps that can be filled. There's a lot of different solutions that can be filled by that gap. And that's only something I learned from being in business and consulting, where it's kind of okay, we can't jump the gun, guys. We gotta we have to think about can't jump the gun and say pharmacists are going to fill that gap. They could potentially fill that gap, but guess what? If there's a more cost-effective way to fill in that gap, believe me, you would do that. You would probably do that as a business owner. Wouldn't you, right? It might not be ethical, or what about these pharmacists, right? But at the end of the day, people are not going to side with the pharmacists. They're going to side with what's best for the patients, what's best for society. And honestly, that's why I always harp on saying that, as pharmacists, we have to figure out a different USP. But the thing is, where nursing got right is they rebranded themselves with things like nurse practitioner. Because when you think of RN, it's kind of hard to think of an RN doing doctor prescribing type of stuff in the general public view, right? But the way that they were able to rebrand, that was the right way to do it. Same with a PA, that like people kind of understand what PAs do. But if we're talking about pharmacists, it's like all over the place. It's grouped up all into one thing. So it makes it a lot more difficult to be like, oh, that person is known for doing this, right? We these are the medication experts. I mean, there's a big disconnect between counting pills and being the medication expert, guys. It's poor positioning, right? So just from a marketing perspective as well, right? So that's my thoughts on that. Um, Hun Yi says, "Hi Kevin, are you able to do your live videos earlier? It's about 3 a.m. in the UK. Might or might not. It really depends if I want to do another live stream per week. It is quite a big commitment, and it's also like a very little return on investment because YouTube doesn't monetize this video at all. Really, there's limited ads straight off the bat, and then I have to get the ad money after request for a review. That takes 1 or 2 days, and by the time that's done, like, this video is dead, so not quite sure if it's worth the time. But if there's a lot of you guys here listening to the replay as well and you guys want a different time, shoot below as well. Maybe I'll consider doing a different doing 2 streams a week or something like that. What I don't want to do is like to be doing these streams and having zero value for people. That's the number one thing. I don't care about the monetization and stuff. I just want to make sure that we're always adding value. I'm not just doing this for fuck's sake. It should be adding value all the time and answering your questions. So yeah. Bob says there's zero pay increase in retail and most other non-unionized pharmacist careers. If you're lucky to get a job, it's luckily 40 to 50, 24 to 32 hours per week for full-time. Robin Phillips says, love your channel, Kevin. Thanks for your time and effort. Love it, guys. Guys, I also want to shoot you guys a question. What content do you want to see more from me, guys? Is it more pharmacy content? Bob, I know that you're already going to say you want more pharmacy content. Everyone other than Bob, because I already know what Bob is going to say. What kind of content do you want to see more from me and all that as well? Love to kind of hear your input as well. Lemon Doug says, nice on Hyros. You hope you get it. You deserve it. Thanks, man. I hope so too. I really like Alex Becker a lot on his YouTube channel. I love to kind of grow his company and stuff and really put my tests into a new industry as well, right? Not to say like my current client is like, I might work both clients, might work both of them, but it really depends as well. So I think it would be really solid to be able to do something like that. JP says, yo, Kev, thinking about doing Dan Pena's mentorship program at his castle. What's the number one lesson that you learned from Dan Pena's castle mentorship program, and would you recommend in 2020? I will tell you this, JP, knowing you personally on a personal level too, I would say understand why exactly you're going. Have the vision up front before going there. I mean, going there was really cool because I learned a lot about M&A. It's great, but it's really, really hard. Like, you're underestimating whatever you're expecting. You're underestimating the amount of fulfillment that it takes to do something like this. You probably have to quit your job. You probably have to drop everything. It takes full commitment to do M&A, and it's really rough. And we're getting dislike bots, man. Fuck you, dislike bots. Whatever, it's all good. Make sure if you're in the stream, make sure to smash the like button, man. I feel like sellout Sundays, but whatever. That's what sellout Sundays are for. So if there's one thing I've learned, it's really vision, right? Knowing the exact reason why you do certain things. Dan Pena's program will always be there as long as he's alive. He told us that he probably would not do it, and he wasn't gonna. We were gonna be his last class. He didn't. But yeah, I mean, know exactly why you're doing it. Have a pretty good idea of what angle you're going with. Go through all his material that he has on his website for free. And just be prepared to just hit the ground running, guys. So that's the number one thing. BLS is way off. Just look at what they're offering on Indeed in Cali. Low 50s. I think I saw it in a group in another state where position was in the 40s. Not the norm, but it's still scary. Interesting. I just moved to Cali from Florida. Look at the LA district. That's awesome, man. LA is one of my favorite places. Very creative place as well. So it's pretty solid there. Man, the dislike bots. Fuck you, dislike bots. Okay, cool. So you just moved from Florida to LA district. That's dope. So if you're in LA, hit me up, my brother. Anne Jolie says, thank you so much. Emily says, did a PGY1 slash PGY2 informatics with PRN clinical on weekends. Most hospital informatics jobs were hit hard by COVID. Just got an informatics job, but could even barely get interviews, even for PRN. Very interesting. I got to bring that up to my friend Brian, because he's informatics pharmacist as well. So that's very, very interesting as well. Other residences were ID, ED, admin, cardiology, and had a hard time unless they moved across the country. Some now are PRN or just became full-time clinical. Oncology seemed to have the best luck. That's very interesting, Emily. That's great. Yeah, Emily, feel free to reach out to me, because I'm very interested in your experience with the whole PGY1, PGY2 experience, and to see if it was worth it or not as well. So that's good to know. Robin says, Emily, that's good to know. Didn't realize informatics positions were getting hit harder to find. I thought the job outlook for informatics was getting better. Awesome. COVID cut a lot of hours for informatics pharmacists, and many jobs require experience in their specific system or firm coding experience. That's really interesting, because a few of my other informatics friends, they actually got furloughed as well. So that's really interesting. I know new grads from many schools that didn't find a job for a few years. Everyone needs to work during school. I worked as a hospital tech in school on the weekends, and it was doable, just tiring. That's a lot of things. Lemon wants to know more about business and closing, he says. Yeah, more than happy to do more content there. Brian here's a non-pharmacy question. What is the easiest way to get your real estate license in Cali? Have you ever looked into it? Any recommendations? Actually, one of my clients, he recommended everyone to get their real estate license. I don't know how it is in Cali, because I don't have my real estate license, but I never ended up planning to as well. So that's another thing. So, okay. So getting hit with the dislike bots. I am an hour at 101 in here. I got to go to sleep. I got to get ready for tomorrow's day, because it's going to be a long day. I got closing calls in the morning. And plus, I also got to finish up some of my mom's stuff. And I'm going to be editing some videos, sending things out to my editor as well. So if you got anything major, please comment ASAP as well. Adrian says, you're the GOAT. Really appreciate it, Adrian. You guys are the MVP. At the end of the day, you guys are the real MVP, because you guys tuned in. You guys are smashing the like button. You guys are battling the dislike bots. Guaranteed, the longer I stay on here, it's going to fuck up my ratio, but I don't care. They can suck a fucking big dick. Bob says, informatics pharmacy is not a growing field. It's like Brian Fung, who advocate for this field, but paints a false picture of what the job opportunities are like. Well, and here's the thing about Brian. Like, he might not know the job outlook for informatics as well. Yumi Park says, crying face. What up, Yumi? Thoughts on the California exodus? It's about time, man. Like, honestly, California, I love California, don't get me wrong. California is a great state, but I don't blame people for leaving, because traffic is horrible, taxes are horrible. They don't trust the leadership. We see it in California. One of the reasons why we probably have the highest COVID rate is just because people don't believe in the leadership. And I don't really like, well, I wouldn't say I don't really like Newsom and stuff, but it's just like a lot of wishy-washy policies as well. So there's interesting. Everyone is leaving California. There's actually a really great documentary YouTube series that somebody had as well. Yumi says, amazing. How many calls do you take per day? Average money earned per week? It really depends. Typically, I do about 6 calls a day. Sometimes I do 8 to 10. It really depends. Sometimes they roll over from the previous day. Average money earned per week, I would say, if I were to look at it DPL-wise, I've recently, since my client hasn't been doing as well, I've been hitting like a $400 DPL, anywhere from 400 to 600. So if we were to take, let's say, like, if I'm not performing that well, take 10% of that. So that's like $50 per call-ish at the moment. Not my best, but on my best weeks, I usually rack in 2 to 4 G's per week as well. My highest was ever like probably like 4 G's. My lowest was probably $120. So it's all over the place, guys. And that's the thing with media. That's the thing with closing that people don't realize is that it all depends on your traffic, right? So if your traffic, if one of your ad accounts gets shut down, then it affects your bottom line. That's one thing that you don't have control over. And I might do a video on is high ticket closing really worth it at the end of the day, because it's not all that it's cut out to be sometimes as well. Quentin Korn says Jimmy Park Anyang. Jimmy Park says hello, but taxes and homeless. What's DPL? It's dollar per lead or revenue per lead. It's probably one of the most important things. I use terms like these because I truly understand them after running have my own sales team for a little bit and then working on the things. It's basically how much money you're bringing in per call or per lead. A lot of people don't realize that. They think close rate is everything. It doesn't matter. You could be making $1 you could close $1, right? And you have a wicked high close rate, but you're not bringing in money for the company. So really DPL is the most accurate indicator of that. Is Dan Locke's program worth it? It really depends. I mean, honestly, it was a great personal development program, but honestly, for majority of people, wouldn't say it's worth it now that I have 2 years of experience as well about it. I use very little from what I learned from Dan Locke, but I leverage those connections that I met through other people too to get gigs and all that as well. So there's that. Gotcha. Thanks. All right, perfect, guys. Well, I'm gonna head out, guys, before the dislike bots really fucking kill my channel. I wouldn't be surprised if the dislike bots fucking screwed up this thing. But you can tell. You guys saw it in the stream, guys. Literally went from, I had about 16, 13 likes, positive likes, and then in just a short amount of time, just 10 minutes, it's all the way down to 11, right? All at once. Ooh, big surprise. Fuck me, dude. Fuck you guys. Fuck you, dislike bots. But I love you guys who support my channel, who continue to fuck with me, who continue to make this channel great. I'm not gonna let some dislike bots fuck this channel up, suck a big fat dick, dislike bot people. But love you guys. Continue asking your questions. Feel free to reach out to me, subscribers at refugiehustle.com. Really, I want to connect with a lot of people, and I do my best every single day. But if you are dying to connect with me, do through my email. And shameless plug, go to refugiehustle.com/join. I'll be sending out a survey in about 1 or 2 days about content on this channel, how to make it better. So I really want your input as well. So let's do that. Jimmy says, thank you. Quentin says, why do you think dislike bots? I have no fucking clue. Do those even exist? Oh, yes, they do. Just do a search on Google as well. Isan says, you the best, man. Really appreciate all of you guys. All right. Have a great rest of the week, and I'll talk to you guys later. Lax says, video's informative. Appreciate it, y'all. Okay, guys. I really got to head out. My voice is dying. I'll talk to you guys later. Love you guys. Peace.